Hello and welcome. You're with Freetalk with MrB. It's so glad to have everyone on. I think it's like 5 o'clock in Dubai, and around the world, we're hoping that we're going to reach to you and get you on this podcast, listening to this podcast, and sharing your feedback. Welcome to Freetalk with MrB. And we have our moderator. I always use that word backwards, but Sameena, help us.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Assalamu alaikum and namaste, whatever languages, whoever is viewing us across the world. Thank you so much for joining us. And here we are with another episode of Free Talk with MrB. Just as MrB just introduced the show, we are very happy to have with us a very special guest, Ms. Nahid Hassan, who's going to be talking just in a while. And let me just talk a little bit about, as well as we have Professor Dr. Mehreen Mia, who is just going to be with us on screen in a minute. So what we're going to do today is we're going to be talking about the next nugget in Mr. B's art of giving back, which is, do we need an intent before giving back? So I'm going to be asking all of my special speakers here to share their perspectives just as we start off. So a little bit of introduction about yourself, because we have a very special guest today on the show for the first time, Ms. Nahid. And we will definitely hope that Mia is able to join us in a minute. So let's start. And I would first ask Ms. Nahid to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do. And then we would move on to talking about the topic itself.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for inviting me today. And I really feel special that you're interested in what I'm trying to achieve in here in Dubai. My name is Nahid Hassan. I'm a mother of a 22 years old, severely autistic boy. I came in from a telecom background, so I work in the telecom space for more than 20 years, and lately moved into the public work with my Maximus, where it's been created for Ahmed, especially after a letter that we have received that there is no support for children after 18th year. And it was a big shock for the families. And I'm sure lots of families like me have the same issue. And what is next? And this is where we're all in the same boat and we don't know what to do. Are we sending the kids to assisted living? Are we going to have a chances for them to work after 18, especially the adults with autism, the mental disability? Are they going to be home? Are they going to have their own work? We don't know what we're going to have with these kids. So the idea of my Maximus is born from this purpose, to find a solution whatsoever it is, with all the partners that are involved with me in this, to try to find a support to all of us in here in this part of the world. In a nutshell, this is what I'm trying to do today. My Maximus is the first vocational training and employment center for people with determination, as we call them here, or different abilities, as I love to call them, in the UAE. And we are trying to achieve milestones in, first of all, educating the parents what to do with an 18 years old child or an adult or a young adult. We're still calling them children because I'm a mother like you. And what is the future can hold for these kids.
Brilliant, excellent. We all definitely congratulate you on what you have started and the intention behind the My Maximus initiative. And we wish you the very best in all your endeavors for Ahmad and for all such children as well as the parents. Excellent. Thank you so much. And on behalf of the entire world, we would like to thank you for what you are doing. It's brilliant. So yes, let's start talking about the statement we all have heard, that there is much joy in giving than in receiving. So this is one part of the brilliant book written by MrB, The Art of Giving Back. So I would like to hear first from there. I think Mia is just joining us as well. Welcome, Mia. Let me take a minute to welcome her.
Hello to everybody. Thank you so much.
Nice to be This is just going to be a very natural and very simple talk and conversation. We want to keep it that way. All of us intend to just give each other that space so that we can share whatever we want to share on this platform. Thanks to Mr. B for having us all here. So let's start to hear, Mr. B, what would you like to share about when you wrote this nugget? What was on your mind?
And I was talking to my wife and I was telling her about this nugget, and it says intent. And this nugget followed the chapter on finding my wife, the information about finding my wife. And so intent was the word that stands out today, and it's the theme for this week and next week's podcast. Is there, or should there be, an intent for giving and for giving back? And as our guest has well said, she has an intent on focusing on what happens to someone who passes the age where the natural support is given, right? And when you get to age 18, if you're not helped anymore with someone with determination or someone with a disability or something, we need to have an intent to raise funds, an intent to care for them, an intent to get things done. When I wrote in the book, my intent was maybe to be liked. And so I wanted to be a good giver so I could be admired by the person I was going to find in life. So before finding my wife, I wanted to be a nice guy. So if I found her, my intent was finding a nice wife. And so I did. It's been 40 years now, and we're still together. And the idea, if that was simply enough, if that was my intent, then I did have an intent for giving back my smile, for giving back my hello. And I don't think my wife said I had her on the first hello, but maybe the second hello. But that's what I was looking at. We had an intent. Our intentions were pure. Intent is to get it done, get something accomplished, and that nugget was well placed. So let's talk about that. Sameena?
Sure. Yeah, yes, definitely. And at times, I think things happen even when we don't have an intent. Yesterday was a very simple and brilliant example which I experienced when Ms. Dedra referred Ms. Nahid to be on our show today. So what happened was there was no intention for her to actually connect Nahid with us, but then it was so natural and spontaneous that I was looking for something like this for one of my friends. And there it just connected. And without her intent of doing that, she has really made a difference to somebody's life. So that's a situation where there could be no intention, but you're doing something, you're giving something to someone. And
I love that.
So beautiful.
I love that. The only thing I was thinking of was, I mean, the one I can comment on my film Lemonade, which draws attention to the problem that Nahid spoke of, the lack of services and career opportunities for those who are adults with autism, here in the Middle East. And when I got the film together, when I started it, my intent was simply to make life a little easier for my son, Ibrahim, and people like him too, because the more attention given to this matter, there would be more changes, made to make life better for them. And I think I had the same intention when I introduced Nahid to Sameena. Just by getting you out there, hopefully the world becomes a little better for people with disabilities. And that's all I've ever wanted. I just, because we're not going to be here forever to do things for them, right? So we need to try to make the world a little brighter now, while we still can, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, Ms. Mia. What do you have to say?
I have to agree with all of you at the moment, and especially I would like to add, there's something that when I got the United Nations, for example, that ambassadorship in humanitarianism, it was a shock to my system, purely because it was not something that was expected with what I was doing in humanitarian effort. So, for example, I would be going out and I would be feeding thousands, and to date, it's about 5,000 families that I look after. But it was never with an intent to have to receive an award. It's never with an intent to have to get anything back for it. and yet somehow the universe decides to reward you with something. But another thing that I have found personally is that I would be in sometimes a very difficult space, physically, emotionally, with personal issues or something for that matter. And yet, when I go out to do something for someone, the counseling session that I would have to give, or the feeding that would have to get done, somehow I find an inner healing within myself with that giving. Yet it's not my intention to heal myself through it. It's my intent to merely make sure what needs to get done gets done. So I love this topic because the intent is one thing, and yet the reward is something else. And yet the reward is so much more bolder and more acceptable because it's something that is given to you that you don't expect. And this is why I said when yesterday when Sister Dedra introduced Sister Naya to us and gave us this portfolio, it really rang true. It rang true because I love the fact that there was the initial intent was to bring peace and a kind of a blessing to her space and what she was enduring. And yet it's now touched so many other lives. So we can all relate, I think, in some way or the other to how true this nugget is. Absolute truth with it.
I totally agree. The intention was, as I mentioned earlier, is to support Ahmed after he has been actually stopped from the school. But let me tell you what is the reward is and what is the learning that I've learned in this such short period of time, that Ahmed is not really can benefit from what I've built and what a big risk that I put myself in to support these kids. I'm alone doing that by myself. I've taken all my maximus by myself. And the reward that I've got, actually, my son is nonverbal. And I got a boy today, his name is Khalid. In my Maximus, he's calling me mother. And I stopped crying because I've heard Ahmed for the first time. Not Ahmed is the one talking to me, but Khalid was telling me mother. So I said, I've heard Ahmed is calling me. And also Musanna, he got a job and his family, they are surrounding me. And I said, I think Ahmed has got a job. It doesn't need to be you. Your intention can start in a way and end somewhere else that you never even expected. I can't tell you all here how it is very rewarding that I've got seeing these young adults that are very happy. They are coming in here. The family are also excited and supportive to support their children, understanding that they can have a life. Unfortunately, we are a young societies in the Middle East. So we were struggling when I came into Dubai when Ahmed was a kid, and I don't know what his autism is, and I don't know what the support I can get. And today we are again struggling. This is why I decided to do something. I can't be continuing struggling when Ahmed become an adult. Not itself, the future is coming round the corner and Ahmed is going to be an elderly and I'm not going to be here or support him. So what is next? So I'm running a campaign at the moment called After 20, which is basically to try to provide opportunities and partnership with the corporates here in the UAE, rather than we are a CSR activities, to move into an HR activity, to move into policies, all the money for the CSR to be directed, if they wanted to help us, in providing jobs and opportunities to these adults and to give them a meaning in life rather than being a burden into the societies and their parents. As well, one of the pillar of the campaign is to build assisted livings. We don't have assisted livings campaigns or support in our communities because we're coming from a community that we are supporting each other. But again, life is changing, life is different. Today I'm 50. In 20 years, I don't think I can support Ahmed, who will be 35 or 40. I will not have the capacity to support him. And I believe there should be some houses to host people like Ahmed and alike if they haven't got anybody to support them. So the journey is started with just finding a job to Ahmed, and now it's ended to be bigger and bigger, engaging all the corporate communities and the governments and the policymakers to try to make a platform rather than just, an initiative, a charity that is going to finish in as long as I can run it or somebody else is going to take it. That what is next? And this is what the families have asked me. This is what I see in the kids' eyes. This is what I find myself responsible today to achieve it. And I'm glad that I'm sharing this with you here.
We are too. I think that's incredible. Thank you so much. I mean, this is just the kind of change that, you know, as a mother of an autistic, you know, son, I've been looking to find, you know, here. And I hope that there's so much more, you know, down the road. It's very exciting work. Thank you for your effort, really.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And I think the part where you spoke about working with the corporates, there's a lot more awareness and knowledge people need to have about this entire aspect of coming forward and being able to be volunteering, but from their own employees. HR can encourage their employees to volunteer time to even teach these differently abled people with some kind of skills, computer skills or IT skills or communication skills or whatever it is, for them to be able to do a corporate job, you know. And we need to be patient, definitely. I do understand the kind of patience you both might be you know, having, alhamdulillah. And I wish just that you know, that God really helps you with the best throughout your life and your children as well. So yes, corporates need to understand, and the world needs to understand, that it is for us individuals to step forward and help people like Nahid, and make her dream come true, because we all do believe, and it's a great saying in our from our prophet, that the man's true wealth is all that he has done in this world. You know, whatever he has done to help others is the true wealth of an individual. So
well, you don't get to go to the afterlife with anything but your deeds at the end of the day. Right.
And you know, and
that's all you take.
And these acts are acts of giving back. Even Mia, you can tell us about South Africa and the similar conditions with autism. We say we may have an intent. We do not need an intent to give back, but the idea of giving back still says that we're going to go out of our comfort zone, as it were, and think about something as simple as autism and the diversity of abilities in that community, where some people can do everything, where some cannot do other things, and we can't stamp that ability. When I say that ability, because every one of them have, as individuals have different abilities, we can't stamp it in one stamp. And so I'm throwing this one at Mia. I don't know, or I've never experienced or seen anything like it when I visited Johannesburg. What is it from your end?
The one thing I can tell you about South Africa is that the awareness is still very, very rife. It's still a very, very green stage. There's still stigma attached to these kinds of issues, and we're trying to get rid of that, number one. But number two, I have to say to the sister Nai that, you know what, I do understand that it's a fearful start that she made, but whilst it might be fearful, it's full of hope for so many of us. And I know it's given me hope and motivated me to push for the autistic approaches we have here. There is a huge struggle for parents. There's a huge struggle for the actual autistic kid. But more than that, there's the struggle for society to accept. And the reason I find for that is because they don't understand. There is not much understanding of what this entails. Yes, there's plenty of theory. There's a lot of stuff that we can go through to read up on it. But there's nobody going boldly out there to talk about the actual actions required to maintain an autistic child during a day. Or how does a parent keep their mental capacity focused so that the day gets progressed in such a positive way for the parent and the child, the sleepless nights, the ways in trying to deal with things. So the realities of what autism teaches and what it's about versus what the theory teaches is where we're finding the gap. And I think that's where we need to start in building awareness so that we can create more of these homes, for example. Like Sister Naya said, we need more homes to cater for the children, yes, but also for the adults. And it's really key for us to be able to stay focused on what the end result has to be. So yes, the intent is to create the awareness, but I think the give back would be that we can actually create these structures that make sure the autistic people, humanity that is autistic, actually they do survive. They're able to get chances, equal chances and opportunities, because they do have the innate ability to still be. And we need to
Yes.
stop the stigmatization of that.
Very
And
well.
they like doing things that are useful. I mean, my boy, he loves doing useful things around the house. He loves helping to set the table. He loves helping to clean up his mess when he's eaten lunch. I mean, he doesn't like, to feel like he's sitting there and doing nothing. You can tell that he likes it. Yeah, they actually enjoy it, even if they don't have the verbal ability to talk about it. Just like all of us. I mean, we're talking about giving back and making a difference in the world because it makes us feel like we have a purpose. We're here for something. We're here to make the world just a little bit better because we were in it. Leave it in better condition than the way we found it.
Right.
And I think they feel the same, even though they can't talk. And let me tell you something about the rewards of giving back to somebody who's autistic or somebody who doesn't have that much verbal ability. If they're anything like my Abraham, just that smile that they can give you is so much reward, because that boy, he's got a smile like sunshine. I mean, it feels literally like sunshine is coming down on you.
And it's the number one thing I say to give back, even for us humans without any issues accordingly. We need to give back smiles, and gosh, how we feel. So everyone else, whether someone could speak or not, appreciates a good smile. And so
Absolutely.
from giving back would have that humility of giving back. We spoke about the way spouses, how they give back to the world. And now we're talking about the different intent as far as ways of giving back. And what a subject, what a topic I so appreciate. Sameena?
Yes, absolutely. I'd just like to add that, in a world full of sane humans, I would want to use that word very strongly, where people have the very attention, everything, the understanding, everything perfect, and people have no disabilities. And here there's this group of individuals who are differently abled. I would always like to call them differently abled than disabled. Because they have their abilities, like all of you said, and excellent abilities, much more than our normal humans around, the sane humans, I would again say, because when they are smiling, I'm sure they won't even understand, or they won't even have any strings attached to that smile.
Exactly. It's always
Which
genuine, like
yes, it
from
is
the
so
heart,
genuine. It is so genuine.
Yeah.
Even when they are given a task, even if they are asked to do something, I'm sure, though I haven't experienced that in my own family, I understand from some of my friends around, and your experiences as well, that I really can relate to how genuinely they would be doing it, and that absolutely no strings attached. Given a choice, I think that's the kind of world we would all want, without any strings attached. Yes.
I get jealous of them
Absolutely.
sometimes, how they can even, you're talking about honesty. I mean, if Ibrahim doesn't like something, he will tell you that. He has enough vocabulary to say, don't like it. That's it. Don't like it.
Right.
It's over.
So
I wish I could do that.
So
The
we're on regularly, and we look forward to being on. This is exciting to have so many different viewpoints from around the country, around the Middle East, and around the world. Sister Nahid, before we close this podcast, how can people find you? What you want them to know to help you? How about contacts like Instagram, or what do you want people to do to know you and to find you, and so on?
Actually, I am a one-show woman today, okay, and I need the community to support me, because one hand cannot do this big vision that I have, which is going to change a lot in our young communities today. I've also started, talking to organizations here. I've spoken also to government offices, to try to come in and board to help me with that. I'm happy to give my maximus away to support everyone who is in need, or even to replicate it. My Maximus is being built in. Again, this is one of the main thing that I want people to know. Please do not institutionalize the autistic. They are not sick. They are just different. And the moment we start institutionalize them, the problem is the blockage coming from companies, from organizations, from people around us, and we can't help them. Yes, they're different. Yes, some of them are severe and they need another help, but not all of them. Today, when we say the word autism, meaning everyone is need to be institutionalized, it needs a certain help. This is not true. I've seen a fantastic boys, and I'm sharing them with the world to know that even companies, they were surprised. They said, "But what's wrong with them? But why they are like that? But they are normal." And there is a lot of awareness that needed to be created for the organization to build an infrastructure that is capable to accommodate our children, to teach the society that not every autistic need a severe attention and a severe addressing of issues. Some of them are just as equal as normal kids with slight differences. There is a lot to be taught in here that our communities and our societies, they don't know about it. So the journey is really started, the journey is big, and I need the support of every and each element in the societies with an intention, as we said today, that he want to give back and help, and together we can make the difference.
And should everyone Google My Maximus or
yes,
what's
yes.
Yes, My Maximus is there, Instagram is there, social media, and I'm there. Just take my WhatsApp and call me.
Okay, we'll send you the link to this program so you can share it, because it was a great conversation in your behalf and benefit. And Sameena, I think we'll always keep sharing and invite her back on the program too. What do you think?
Sure, definitely. And we'll have more opportunities. Maybe somebody else wants to connect with any of us here, and we'll keep connecting people, and we'll keep the thread on, the talking thread
Please.
on. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And thank you for being on. We try to keep it short so that our listeners can really listen to the entirety.
I know,
and
they
so,
can't cut as much as they can.
And so we leave it here. If we, and for the sake of Mia also, we plan to have this intent conversation next week also, and to get some of the feedback from yourself and from yourselves, and we can continue talking about the intent before we move on to another subject. This gives our listeners enough time to give us some feedback about intent, and do we need to have an intent before we start giving? And so we want to continue that conversation next week.
No problem at all. I think every week we can tackle an issue. For example, how the corporate can intend to support these children, how the family can intend, to support. I know the families have already exhausted, okay, and so on. How we have to create also the awareness on even your intention, how you direct your intention right, because you can have a lot of intention to help, but again, it can go in not the right way or not the perfect way, or there is a lot to be said about the intention and the intent. And I think we can run series of talks, and we'll have to hear a lot from other people, which can help us.
Thank you. Sameena?
Sure. And just like Mr. B said, we are all going to be sharing this session on our social media. And I personally would like to connect with Nahed separately for two reasons. One is for one of my friends who's looking for something like My Maximus, as well as to help you connect with corporates. We'll see how we can work together and spread this word.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Sure, definitely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. And it's a pleasure having you on Free Talk with Mr. B.
Thank you.